we'll keep reinforcing it to make sure it's really clear that what is affordable housing just bridges the gap between social housing and fully priced private rentals. So it's a huge gap. We've got a massive shortage across the country. It's growing every day. It's not getting better, and this scheme has a great social benefit to all of us to get involved in, because we're helping bridge that gap. It's greater to reduce the rent payable by eligible tenants, as per the graph that or the table that Paul just went through with you. Tenants are eligible to receive affordable housing as long as they earn less than the prescribed income, as per the table. And currently there's 1.5 million households are eligible to rent NRAS properties. 1.5 million households are eligible for NRAS. They just don't know about it, a lot of them, or most of them. And so finding a tenant won't be a problem. In actual fact, we think we'll find tenants quicker for an NRAS property than we will for a non-NRAS property in the same estate. Thanks, Ruby. So the types of dwellings, so that they must be brand new. Obviously the scheme is aimed at adding to the stock of dwellings. You can't grab a house and renovate it. That doesn't add to the stock, so it must be brand new. It's pretty much identical to other private homes in the market. We're talking about apartments, townhouses, villas, standalone homes. We're doing some off the plan. We're doing some land to construct. We're doing house and land packages. We're doing a whole gamut of properties ranging in price pretty much from 250 to 400,000. Really important point Paul made. Obviously, if the NRAS is a flat fee of 9,140 index, the lower the property value, the less rent you're giving up, the greater the return. So that's worth keeping in mind when you're looking at properties. And look, they're going to be scattered, and it's already proven they're going to be scattered within larger developments or estates. It's very important that this scheme is seen as being across. We're looking at some of the releases have been 100 or 200 houses in a postcode. In a very large suburbs, a couple of hundred houses. So they're going to be scattered across a suburb. So there's no concerns about some of the issues people have raised about, all these people on these lower incomes living together. They're good people anyway. A lot of our tenants are on our properties without NRAS are earning those types of incomes, and they're great tenants anyway. So thanks, Ruby. So how do we assist? Well, Paul, run us through how Onyx can help with NRAS.
Okay, so the first thing obviously is selecting a property. So we have lots of people that say to us, well, NRAS sounds really great, so how do I get a property? Well, Ruby's going to show you how you can select a property from our website, and we obviously help you personally as well through that, and provide you information about about your investment choice there. We are mortgage managers and mortgage brokers as well, so we're able to provide suitable finance for you for an NRAS property. Now, it's not mandatory. You don't have to get us to help you with the finance if you're buying a property, but it certainly does sort of make it a little bit easier because everything sort of tends to happen under one roof. And in that vein, we can also do in Victoria the conveyancing for you also. So buy the property, get the finance, have the conveyancing done, all under one roof, and that really just makes the whole process work much more effectively for your purchase.
Yeah, and as Paul said, it's not. It's just a service we're offering. Some people, majority of people, prefer to keep it under one roof if it's a Victorian property. Other people say, "Oh no, I've got my own banker, I've got my own broker for the finance, and if it's in another state, we've got our own conveyancer." And that's fine too. We're here principally to talk to you about NRAS and help you find an NRAS property, and Ruby's really an expert at that, helping you find the right property. But we have, it's important you know that we can also, we've been doing finance for a long time and conveyancing for a long time. We can help you with that as well. So just to cover off these points here about the licence is granted by the government to an approved participant. Now there's a number of these around the country. Unfortunately, a lot of them have chosen to do different models, so each time we find a property we have to run through with you which model it is and what the criteria of that model is. But the approved participants are those organisations that allow government to run this scheme rather than being with 35,000 individual investors and 35,000 tenants. The approved participants are responsible for all of the research that goes into finding the properties and finding the right tenant and making sure the tenant's eligible and that type of thing. So we don't have to worry about that. That's all done for us. So they find the suitable properties, and the 10 years commences from the time the tenant moves in. So the compliance is not our issue. The approved participant gets paid a fee by the investor, us. Each of us who invest in NRAS pay a fee to the approved participant. In some schemes it's a flat fee, in other schemes it's, in our, one of the major approved participants, it's 7.5% of the NRAS, which is about $640 a year. I think that's really reasonable. We think that's really reasonable for them to do all the compliance. We don't have to worry about the tenant checking pay slips for the tenant and all that type of thing, and they make sure the property's compliant as well. So that's all taken out of our hands for $640 a year, which we think's pretty reasonable. Thanks, Ruby. So the approved participant also helps you find the eligible tenant, or they find you the eligible tenant, sorry, through a property manager. As I said, they handle all the compliance requirements. I've got a bit ahead of the show here. Property management services, and there's an NRAS management scheme which varies across the different schemes. As I said, each property, as we look at it, you choose the property, we'll then explain to you who the approved participant is and what their criteria is. We're dealing with about 6 or 7 of those across the country now. Most of them are pretty similar, but there's little nuances that we just have to explain to you when you get further down the track, and we can't do that till you pick a property because we don't know who the approved participant is till you've chosen a property. Thanks, Ruby. So, Paul, just run us through this, please.
Okay, so how do you buy your property? Well, we've got a website which is nrasproperty.onyx.net.au, and Ruby's about to show that to you, so I won't go into that in any great detail. Then once you've seen the property that you like, you can reserve it online, and you can pay a refundable $1,000 holding deposit. That just means that you showing that you're definitely interested in it. We then get the vendor to prepare contracts of sale. We can assist you with either we assist you with the client finance, or you can arrange your own finance. So get all that in place. You'll receive an introductory pack from the approved participant about how it's all going to work at the administrative level. And then, of course, we will move to arrange the settlement for you, either working on the finance and the conveyancing with you from here, or with whoever you're using as your representatives on that side of things.
Thanks, Paul. So arranging a tenant, the approved participant responsible for locating an NRAS eligible tenant, we've covered that off. Really important, the tenancy agreement is directly between you and the tenant. There's nothing in between. Some of the arrangements early days had head leases you would have heard about, and caveats. You have a normal tenancy agreement depending on what state you're in, REIV or REIQ or New South Wales or Western Australia, wherever you are. And that's directly between you and the tenant. And that makes it very clear for the funder as far as getting a loan. And the ongoing management of the property and the NRAS compliance will be provided by the approved participant. As I said, I think Paul, Ruby and I have looked at these fees, and we think they're really, really reasonable. 7.5% of the NRAS, a bit over $600, is really reasonable for the compliance that we don't have to worry about. It's up to the approved participant to report to the ATO and FARCIA and the government about how they're running the scheme. We just need to in our case, Onyx needs to find investors who are interested in property, and then the investor makes a choice, gets a lease agreement in place, and the approved participant pretty much does the rest for us. Thanks, Ruby. So who is Onyx? Paul, run us through who Onyx is, please, mate.
Okay, we were established in 2002, so we're nearly 9 years old. We've been working with property investors predominantly for that period of time. We're very much, I suppose, business people who have come to finance in particular, which is our early days was mainly looking at strategic finance for property investors and arranging finance for them. But because we're sort of business people who have come to finance rather than being ex-bank employees and that sort of thing, we provide a much more strategic finance focus, and that, I suppose, has meant that we've arranged finance for a whole range of different types of property investment needs. So, whether it's purchasing properties or doing renovations or constructing houses or whatever it might be, we've had the full gamut of things that we've been involved with. We've also then moved, I think, over our lifetime more into property investment projects, working with our clients to put together the purchase of investment properties as parts of projects, and we've had some really successful outcomes there for some of our clients. We've got a project that's not far off settlement just coming up shortly, and we think we're going to have some quite significant capital gains happening there for those clients whilst it's being built. We've also then moved into a wider service sphere of providing conveyancing and general legal advice, and some general business legal advice as well. And of course, Onyx Real Estate is a licensed real estate agent here in Victoria, so we are certainly able to assist in the selling of property and providing finance and legal backup to it.
Thanks, Paul. So Ruby's about to show you the website and take this show back over, get it under a bit of control. Just some figures that I've got here for you. We spoke earlier about the government coming back to 35,000. If you've got a pen handy, save you searching the website to find where these are. But in round one, there was 4,495 licences allocated to NRAS. In round two, 6,741 for a total of 11,236. And since then, there's been round 3 and 4, but they haven't been finalised, those numbers. The bottom line is that we're still only about a third of the way through this program, and as far as properties built, we might only be 10% or 15% of properties on the ground being tenanted by NRAS tenants under this scheme. So we've still got 80 to 85% of this program to run. So there's a lot of money still on the table, hundreds of millions of dollars. The federal government, as I said, very supportive. The states with change of governments and change of ministers in different states, in some of the states have had some issues working through that. That's starting to free up now. We're starting to see more and more properties coming to market. There's been no better time to start looking at properties because the approved participants have sorted out their act. There's some terrific sales channels out there to explain NRAS to you, and there's more and more properties coming online for you to choose from, which Ruby's going to show you a few now. So I urge you to have a look at the program. You can talk to any one of us. The reason the three of us come onto this program is so that you get to know a little bit about the three of us, and that you can call any of us any time. So with that said, I'll just pass over to Ruby, and thank you very much for your time tonight.